And 1 minute is close enough. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Minions of the Zoo. I'm your host, Johnny Hellcat, and with me today is Sanguine.
Good evening, all.
And how are you doing today?
I'm doing grand. Just getting the last of my dinner put together here. And tonight is a steak rice bowl with some sauteed zucchini, onion, and a kind of sweet, sticky, savory sauce. And then a very quick spiced topping that I'm putting on the steak, which is some ginger, some chili oil, bit of garlic, and the greens from green onion.
Nice.
And that's just going to be spooned over the steaks, which I've sous vide, and then one half I've given a quick torching. The other half I threw in a deep fryer for 22 to 26 seconds after getting the oil up to like 425, so that it was a very short, very hot sear.
Alright, the mouse
How about
sensitivity
yourself?
on this is insane. It's been a pretty busy day, but all in all, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Don't care about that. Don't care about that. That's probably not in graphics anyway. Game, mouse sensitivity. Oh, that's way worse. Settings.
So, some gunsmith simulator?
Yeah,
Nice.
there we go. All the way down to 0. Almost down to 0. Hey there, Rotten. Hey, Cashel. Jen, how's it going? Raymond Lewis, how you doing? So yeah, let's see here. We learned wood finishing, woodworking, quick to and safe. I have
So
no
what
weapons.
type of guns will you be making?
I have no idea. Skills? Well, I ain't got skills. Got no mastery.
So, does this work kind of like how PC Shop Simulator did, or PC Builder Simulator, where you start off and it's very simple repairs, and then as it goes, you get more complex repairs until you're doing complete builds?
I believe so.
Okay.
It was PC Builder was kind of the beginning of
A lot of the building sims,
a
yeah.
lot of the Sims. Yeah.
It was, if you want to go back further than that, then you're looking at the truck driving and train sims,
Well, yeah.
as well as, of course,
Yeah.
flight sims, because those have been around for as long as we've had technology to even halfway do them justice.
Yeah. My dad actually had a flight simulator, and there was one level you were a fighter jet, and you had to shoot down like three transport jets.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was pretty much just hey, Mr. Yes. It was pretty much, find them, shoot them down, and then get back to your landing. And I would either run out of gas trying to shoot down the third plane, or I would crash on my way. I would run out of the gas and crash on my way back to the base. Let's see. My beloved grandson, I want to talk about a gunsmith workshop that you get from me. Okay. How is it? I would love to help you. Oh, there is Camel. Good evening.
Hello.
How are you folks?
Doing grand. Yourself?
I've been better.
Want to have a moan about it, or rather not?
Maybe off stream. It's not something I want to talk about publicly.
Fair enough.
No. So, how about that polar vortex, huh?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, well, I'm not particularly digging having a foot of snow on the ground. I know that's nothing to you guys, but we got a lot of idiots down here that don't know how to drive in inclement weather, so...
Oh no. That's
Oh,
about
we
the
have a
same
lot of
here.
idiots up here as well.
Yeah.
Just I like the snow.
Well,
I like
Yeah.
the snow, I like the cold, so give me more cold, give me more snow, and I'm like a pig in shit.
I think like 2 days ago they were forecasting like, I think 1 to 3 inches of snow today, and then yesterday they bumped it up to like possibly 4 inches of snow. Just going based off the accumulation on my back patio table, I'd say we got about a foot.
Nice.
I say this also because my feet up to like my lower shins are soaked right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
Make sure to dry them off and get fresh socks.
No, Mr. Yes. If I gotta choose between white and my people, I'm taking white. Be it snow, people, or cocaine, I'll take any of the three over my tribe.
Okay.
But that just reminded me of something. I don't know how it reminded me, but it did.
What's
Did
the
you
cocaine?
guys- that might have been the connection. Did you guys see the Zuckerberg? We apologize.
No, I never had Instagram, and I haven't used Facebook in I think about a decade now.
Nor have I. I just ended up seeing it because other people watched it.
Yeah, I saw people were sharing it around. I was like, I don't care what this fucking cyborg has to say.
Oh, it was really weird robot bullshit with that, but it was functionally he came out and went, yeah, so turns out our
Fact checkers were retarded, and we apologize.
our fact checkers were politically motivated and they were blocking and banning people based on their politics rather than if something was actually true or actually misinformation. So, yeah, we fucked up. We're going to try to be more honest and we're going to steal Twitter's notes and do community notes.
But yeah, other than that, you know, it's been a bit of a shitty week. Hopefully, starting to turn around. But I've just been kind of tuned the fuck out here lately. I don't know much of what's going on. Apparently, California's on fire again. I saw that.
It's
Yeah.
the annual season.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a little bit worse now, but yeah.
I kind of feel like when you have fire season, you should really start asking questions about, you know, how you do things, whether it be, you know, political leadership or land management. You find something to start, you know, getting introspective.
See, the thing is that, yes, they absolutely need to do that, but also they've had fire season for
Decades?
centuries. No, for centuries, if not long. Well, actually, for much longer.
No, I just meant calling it fire season.
Oh yeah, but they functionally had one for millennia because a lot of their forests are these cool types of tree called lodgepole pines. Do you know the interesting thing about lodgepole pines?
No, but I heard about eucalyptus trees in California.
Lodgepole pines require fire in order to procreate.
Yeah, the pine cones, once they're heated, will spread seeds.
Yep. So when the lodgepole pine has its pine cones formed, those fall to the ground. They get carried around by various animals. And then they do fuck all until a fire comes through. Fire comes through, they spew their seeds around after reaching a certain temperature. And that's how they propagate. So when you have entire forests of lodgepole pines, you kind of have to realize, oh shit, this area lights on fire a fuck ton. Because you don't end up with native trees that rely on fire for procreation unless you light on fire a fuck ton.
Oh, one bright spot, it wasn't this week, but last week, I did take advantage of the winter sale on Steam. I picked up a few things off my wish list.
Nice. What did you grab?
Tropico 4,
Fun game.
like Total War, Rome. I think I got one of like the medieval ones too, like medieval Total War.
Oh, Medieval Total War 2, most like.
I'll have to check
War
the.
Medieval 2, rather.
I'll have to open up the Steam because I don't ever have Steam just like open automatically. It'll update automatically when I turn my computer on, but let's see my library. If it will open, it's being slow.
I think I am. I feel like I am just guessing at this point.
Oh, I finally picked up like Arma 3. I'm going to see if it'll actually run on my computer. Maybe not, but
Worth a shot.
And I went ahead and bought like a DLC for Crusader Kings 2. I got like a 30-day subscription deal so I can test out all of the DLC and see which ones I like and which ones I want to buy next.
That's the one problem about Paradox games. Paradox games, ridiculously fun. Paradox games, the only game that will bankrupt you more than a Paradox game is fucking Sims.
Well, I bought a couple of the different DLCs, different sales and whatnot. Like I've got a few of them already.
Yep.
And I don't know if I want to get all of them, but
just there's so many and they cost just enough.
Yeah, because like if you want to like buy all the DLC, that's like over $100. If you get it like in like a bundle, I don't know how much it would be like individually.
And that depends
I want to
on.
say like $15 a pop or something like that.
Yeah, most of them are $15 a pop, and that depends on which Paradox game you're getting. There's a couple of the Paradox games that if you buy all of the DLC in one go without it being bundled, it's like $1,000.
Oh hell no!
Oh, I see. Okay.
Never would I. Oh, I remember when this game was first being like advertised. I don't know why I spaced out on that word. For Honor, I picked that one up too. I haven't played it yet. I've been digging being a dictator in Tropico.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean I get to do a city builder and violate human rights? Sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
Pick me a winner.
I mean, who wouldn't want that? Mr. Yes, they were told about that in his last administration. So, like, he was talking about that, like, what, 5-6 years ago?
Yep. Yeah, it is something that we've known how to limit forest fires. One moment, just quickly tossing something you can see. And let me grab my cups while I'm over here.
All right, where's my rag?
Johnny, are you going to start huffing
But-
the ether?
We've known for
Allegedly.
centuries how you can reduce the rate and severity of forest fires. There's an entire field of study, forest management. And there's a bunch of different things that you do in it. The problem is, California went through forest management, and they allot a shit ton of money to forest management every year. But they went through and they removed almost every single one of the effective ways of managing forest fires.
You disassemble a gun by beginning.
Because what you would do in order to manage forest fires is one of the reasons why forest fires are as bad as they are now is because we prevent as many forest fires as we possibly can. So we notice a small bit of smoke, we put it out. And after you do that for an extended period of time, all the shit that would have burned in all those small fires is still around and hasn't burned. So what happens is that when there's a fire that you aren't able to control quickly enough, it catches all the shit that would have been burned in every other fire and burns it all in one go, making a really fucking hot, really fucking big, really fucking fast fire. So one of the easy ways of managing that is what's called control burns, where you would manage a large chunk of the forest, make sure that there aren't fires very often, but then every so often you would send out a bunch of firemen and a bunch of forestry workers, and you would have the firemen go out to wet down the surrounding area to make sure that it won't catch. So you just go around, you spray down all the underbrush, you spray down all the trees, you spray down all the bushes, all that good shit. And then after you do that, you, in a select area of the forest, light a fire and burn all the underbrush that needs burning. And you do that every year. Make sure that you go through every section of the forest as you do it. So you burn this section this week, and then next week you burn that section, and then the following week you burn that section. So by the time that you reach the beginning of the year, you're back at the first section. It does a fantastic job. Prevents really bad forest fires because it consumes the fuel early so that it isn't there to catch in one big conflagration. California has reduced the number of controlled burns and has made it so a lot of people can't do controlled burns. Another thing that can be done in order to manage forest fires and prevent them, or at least reduce their severity, is you cut fire lanes. Do you guys know what a fire lane is?
Is that when you want to, like, drive faster than the fire?
No. So a fire lane is when you cut down these lines within a forest So every X number of feet apart, you'll cut a line just straight through the forest, and that line will be 6, 7, 8 feet across, and it's a break. So that if a forest fire starts in one section of the forest, it can't jump to another grid of the forest because there are these vertical and horizontal fire lines that prevent the fire from being able to jump because nothing's fucking there for a decent-sized chunk of land. California has not only prevented people from cutting fire lines by saying, yeah, you aren't allowed, but they have actively sued people for trying to cut fire lines to protect their properties.
You mean I can't cut down shit on my own property?
Yeah, so if you have property that a chunk of your property is forested land, so let's say there's a park that is right next to your property, and part of that forest extends into your property, you aren't allowed to cut a fire line in the chunk that's on your property, nor are you allowed to cut a fire line on the chunk that's right outside of your property. So you just have to have it go right up to your house.
I mean, why haven't we just packed the San Andreas Fault with dynamite and just been done with California by now?
Just pushed it off into the ocean.
Yeah, just sawed off the rest of the country like Bugs Bunny.
But yeah, it is a lot of shit that can be done in order to prevent forest fires. That should be done in order to prevent forest fires. And they'll do some of it, like, are you guys familiar with what a forest watch is? Or a fire watch is, rather?
Aren't those the guys with the Smokey Bear hats that sit in the towers and just look around to see smoke?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's one method of preventing forest fires. You just have a shit ton of people that look for smoke, and when they see smoke, they radio it in, and it gets doused.
How much does that pay? I could do that. Just sit in a tower in the middle of the forest, smoke my cigarettes and weed, just keep my eyes open.
Depends on the area. You can get a decent pay for a forest watch. Let me quickly pull it up again.
Would I have to live in California, though? Because, it doesn't seem worth it.
Let's go with the magazine spring.
So, Firewatch, in my state and much of the Midwest, makes about $35.80 an hour.
Just for Firewatch, huh?
For Firewatch. It gets good pay.
I mean, as long as they give me an exemption for smoking the wacky tobacco, I can do that. That's like double what I get paid now.
But yeah, what you have to do is you have to walk your trails when you're supposed to walk your trails. You stay in one of the fire towers. Depending on the area, those fire towers can be rather nicely equipped or can be really sparsely equipped.
I mean, as long as it's got Wi-Fi, I don't mind.
Some of them do, some of them don't.
Starlink?
Say again?
Starlink?
You might be able to get that some places. But yeah, if you're doing just a helper position, then you're starting at $18 an hour in a good chunk of places. If you are a Firewatch lead, the actual person that is doing most of the work, then yeah, in my area, you can get paid approximately 35.80 an hour. So it's good work. Pays decently. You have to be physically fit enough to do it. You have to walk all your trails and do a shit ton of other things, including you have to radio in, I think it's hourly or so. So it fucks with your sleep a little bit. You get, I think, a bit of a wider window at night, but you still have to radio in every so often during the night. Yeah. So they'll do Firewatch, and they did something kind of interesting when it came to some of their Firewatch, because there's a shit ton of forested area in California. So what they did was they have manned Firewatch locations, and then they have automated Firewatch locations, which are, or at least semi-automated Firewatch locations, which are these cameras that they set up on the tops of mountains that have panoramic shots of the surrounding forest. They have an AI system that looks for smoke and a person that's also looking for smoke. So if the AI system thinks that it sees any smoke, it flags it to the actual operator. The operator then goes, yep, that's smoke, or nope, that's not smoke. And pretty cool system. That's one way that you can manage forest fires, because you knock them out before they get big. But like I said, the problem is that if you knock out every fire and you prevent every small fire, then you're going to end up with a fucking huge fire, because eventually there's going to be a fire that you didn't get. And that one now has all the fuel that would have been burnt up in every other fire that you prevented, all burning at once. So you end up with these almighty conflagrations. But yeah, you can do Firewatch in pretty much any area that has enough forest to have a Firewatch be reasonable. Depending on the area, that can change how long of a season you have. So if you live in an area that gets really cold, typically they don't really have Firewatch towers manned during winter. But if you're in an area that is rather mild winters, then they probably will have Firewatch. Though most of the Firewatch has gone to local rather than... There was a federal Firewatch agency for a while. Let me see if the federal Firewatch agency is still up and running.
Does it really look like I know what I'm doing? Because I don't think so.
I just looked it up, and there are still some federal Firewatch jobs floating around. A lot of them are controlled more locally. There's a massive range in pay, like the one that I said from the Midwest, gets paid a fuck ton more than some of them, because there's ones that get $15 to $17 an hour. and then there's the one that got, what was it, 3850 or 3580? Something like that. It was 3580, wasn't it? And it depends on what all's entailed in the posting that you're applying to.
So Biden's promising 100% recovery costs for LA.
Oh, is he?
I mean, that's what I'm seeing on my timeline from a few different places, but none of them are like like journalists or mainstream media people saying it. So I don't know. Would it surprise you if he did?
No, not at all. And Terry, it was Firewalk were the people that did Concord. Firewatch is also the name of a game where you play a person that's on Firewatch, and is one of the walking simulator games.
Actually,
Which is slightly unfair to Firewatch, I feel, because there was more to it than just walking. But it was extremely story-driven, and considering that what you were is someone who is part of the Firewatch, walking around is a large part of your job.
send back to the client or test in shooting range. Okay, let's go fire the pew pew. Where do we fire the pew pew? Alright,
That's not your fire range. That's to test your muzzle velocity. That wasn't your range.
Well, it is what it is. I have.
Got a dog sitting here whining at the door like she can't come in.
What, did you tell her that she can't?
No.
Have you told her that she can?
I mean, I put my hand down so she could come over here and get some pets.
Oh, not sure then.
Yay, finished the first one. Alright. Mac 10, an M1 Garand, or an Uzi submachine gun. I will take the Mac 10. Like I say, and then the game will freeze up. Complete the overhaul for my Mac 10, aiming for maximum efficiency and precision.
Have you paid your tax stamp?
Hell no.
How is that constitutional?
It hasn't been appropriately challenged.
How does one appropriately challenge it? Because, I mean, if we can't have poll taxes for voting, how do we have taxes on arms?
Full auto?
Say what now?
How do you have a tax on full auto?
Just arms in general.
So
But yeah, full auto. Sure.
you'd have to find a lawyer that's willing to take the case, or you have to be a lawyer that's willing to take the case. Challenge it at a lower level.
So you're going to need fuck you money is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're going to need fuck you money because you're going against the federal government. And you'd have to demand an appeal every time that it's shot down in a lower court. Because it will be shot down in the lower court time and time again.
Because they don't give a damn.
And at this point, it has age in its backing. So everyone's gone, yeah, we've been doing this for ages. What do you mean it's wrong?
I mean, shall not be infringed seems pretty fucking, plain text. We started a war with 3 cents on long term. All right.
Also, it makes it difficult when a lot of the people who would have been in a position in order to challenge the law end up dead in interesting situations. Because Waco was over a tax stamp. Ruby Ridge was also over a tax stamp.
Ruby Ridge was over barrel length.
I thought it was barrel length and tax stamp.
I don't remember a tax stamp issue. I remember them entrapping him to cut the barrels down, was an 1/8 of an inch too short.
Give or take.
Yeah, Rotten's he's backing me up on Ruby Ridge. But if I'm not mistaken, weren't the Branch Davidians making their own guns?
Yeah, they had a gunsmithing license. What was unsure was if they were making automatic weapons, and if they were making automatic weapons, they weren't paying the tax stamp.
Mac 10.
And I'm seeing if I can quickly double check to see if it was the tax stamp. Yep, it was, and a tax stamp. So,
Okay.
So it's both.
yep.
I
So you-
I remember the barrel. I didn't remember the tax stamp.
Yeah, it was barrel and tax stamp.
It
Or
was the
tax
Wait, what?
stamp.
It was
What
the
did he have
government
that
being
he
the
needed a
government.
tax stamp for?
Say again?
What did he have that he needed a tax stamp for?
So the barrel length is also something that you are allowed to have shorter as long as you pay a tax.
Ah, okay.
It's a $200 tax stamp.
And a recoil spring.
So because they didn't pay the tax stamp and they had cut down the barrel, it was illegal. If they had paid the tax stamp and cut down the barrel, then it might have been illegal to provide it to the person they're providing it to, but it wouldn't have been illegal for them to do. It was a combo.
Oh, well, I already cleaned up everything, so we're good. And that kind of just reminds me of the Freeman, really. The whole Ruby Ridge thing. Except for it wasn't like... Were they the religious ones?
Ruby
for
Ridge, no.
Ridge?
They were just the...
No, they were religious.
They were religious, but they weren't... When you say the religious one, you're probably referring to Waco. Ruby Ridge wasn't a religious commune. It was a single family.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That
the
was
whole
just
reason
living
why
off grid.
the whole reason why they're up there was because the wife thought the end times were nigh.
Mm-hmm. But it's more accurate saying that they were the off-grid family than... Yeah, they were the crazy religious ones. Because again, at least when I hear, were they the religious ones? I'm thinking, religious cult? No, that's Waco.
That is the safety. You know, if it were this easy to put the guns together... Alright, test the gun. Where are we tested? Is
And yeah, I looked it up a second ago. It was tax stamp and the barrel length. And yes, you have to be approved, but in order to be approved, you have to pay the tax, and paying the tax is something that doesn't guarantee approval, but it is necessary for approval.
with the hammer charge, select to. Oh, okay. I
So,
gotcha.
well, it wasn't just the tax stamp. It was the tax stamp as well as the other factors. And I just confirmed that when I looked it up again to see if I was right when I said that it was involving the tax stamp. And yes, it involved the tax stamp. That was a portion of what made them go after them.
With the hammer charge.
Not saying it's right, not saying it's good.
Auto.
In fact, I'm saying much the opposite.
Oh, the more I see about Jimmy Carter's funeral, the funnier it gets. So,
What did you just notice about it?
well, first of all, I remember like last year when they put him on fucking hospice. This was like 4 jobs ago for me, guys. That's does anyone other than Sanguine have a rough idea of how long someone is on hospice? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller?
I was removed from this, so I can't answer.
Well, it's because I'm fairly confident you probably know that off the top of your fucking head.
Yeah.
The average for someone to be on hospice average is like 70 some odd days.
Mm-hmm.
This man was on hospice for a year.
Yeah, you aren't on hospice for very long. In fact, back when I was an EMT, I had more than one patient that was a transfer to hospice that they didn't even make it a day.
Yeah, like I mean, I've been working in nursing homes for like about a year now, through different roles,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I hear that a resident's put on hospice, like, well, it was nice knowing you.
Yep.
Like,
Oh.
And just for clarification for those who aren't familiar with it, that isn't saying that hospice care are neglectful or that there is some angel of death bullshit going on.
no, you just
You don't end up hospice until it is, yeah, you're gonna die.
We just don't know exactly how long it's going to take you to die. You're dying. You're in the final boarding process.
Yeah. You're a couple months away from dying tops.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
But I gotta believe they were doing some Weekend at Bernie shit with Jimmy. Like, did you see like the pictures they had of him like there at the end?
Mm-hmm.
The Crypt Keeper looked more fucking lively.
Oh yeah.
But no, apparently here's the Oklahoma connection. They had Garth Brooks and his wife singing "Imagine" at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Of all songs.
And then immediately after that train wreck of a musical number, they did the Lord's Prayer. Imagine there's no heaven. Our Father, who art in heaven.
Well, it's even better. Imagine there's no heaven, no
It's-
religion too. Our Father who art in heaven.
Yeah. And then one of the guards apparently fell out when they were about to bring the casket out of the church.
Mm.
There we go.
Did they say why? The dude okay?
I don't know. I didn't see anything about his condition. I just saw like a video clip of him just, falling over backwards. So I don't know if he dehydrated wearing that fucking coat and everything, or maybe homie didn't listen when they told him not to lock his knees while he was standing there.
Just hip fire.
But yeah, he took himself a good little tumble.
That's something that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, that's what Rotten said too. Like, dude probably locked his knees while in formation. Like that's the that's what a smart money is right now.
It's that or dehydration. It has to be. I still find it somewhat stupid, but I also kind of understand.
Like, I'm a civilian. I've had jobs where I've had to stand for long periods of time. Even I know not to lock your fucking knees.
But yeah, I still find it stupid, though I kind of understand why there's the annoying back and forth between hydration formation is A-okay, hydration formation is fucked, because the military just keeps on yo-yoing between people have massive dehydration issues, and then there's a bunch of overhydration deaths.
This feels like the whole, like, eggs are bad for you. No, actually, eggs are good for you thing. Water, it makes you weak. Water, you actually need it to live.
Well, the problem is that, like I said, you'll have a string of deaths due to dehydration. So it'll become, okay, we need to make sure that people hydrate. And they'll institute something like hydration formation, which, are you familiar with what hydration formation is?
Is that like a Jarhead where they had everyone stand in formation, open the bottle, drink the bottle, tip the bottle over to show that it's empty?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's hydration formation. And you can also have it where it's more than one. So they'll go through a period where, yep, do hydration formation. Make sure that these motherfuckers actually drink goddamn water. Not just energy drink, fucking water. And then they'll have a period of time where people will die of hyperhydration. Do you know what hyperhydration is?
Yeah, that's where you drink too much water and the cells are oversaturated. Lady died that way trying to win what was she trying to win? Was it a game system?
Yeah, it was a PS3, I want to say.
Was it that long ago?
Shit. It was either PS3 or PS4.
Ron says, Camel, people in the military be built different. And by that, I mean most of us are really stupid.
Yep.
If you guys had better salesmen, they would have got me too. So I can't be selling this glass house.
But what really should be done is hydration formation should be allowed, but people should be trained on recognizing symptoms of hyperhidrosis.
How about you just send them to the doc and make them watch you pee, and if it's anything other than a mellow yellow, then you go to hydration formation.
Well, the thing is that if someone goes down due to dehydration, they're more likely to dehydrate in the future.
Hey Johnny, Rotten's asking if you can turn the game volume down a bit.
Yeah, I can.
But he's not going to.
But yeah, if you suffer from extreme dehydration, you're more likely to dehydrate going forward in the future.
Is a little ear rapey with the gunshots.
It's not Johnny's fault you forgot your ear pro, Rod. All right, he's gonna give you virtual tinnitus now.
Now, how the hell do I get
And you know
back
what?
home?
Those sounds does not have to be. Holy shit! I should have joined the military. I've been saying that for years.
What?
I live off of caffeine, nicotine, and spite. All right, which branch slogan is that? I'll fucking sign up now.
Infantry.
I said which branch, not which.
Yeah, it's all of them. Infantry.
Frontline infantry.
Only problem is like.
Well, it's not all of them. Air Force is exempt from that. Navy is exempt from that.
Is
Marines and Army.
Is there any way I can skip and just go straight to like warrant officer? I hear those dudes don't have to work at fucking all, and I probably won't need to quit smoking because I really don't want to switch over to Zen.
Oh, the higher you climb in warrant officer, the rarer the air.
I should probably call my cousin and ask him about that. It's like, is there any way? Is there any way?
If you get up to an 04 or CW04, CW05, that's really fucking rare air.
Clock that doesn't load.
I'm saying from the infantry part. They do it in the maintenance rather than the infantry.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I've told that story before, but like when I was 17, made the mistake of taking the fucking ASFAB, and everyone started calling me, except for the Coast Guard. And you know what? I'm a little offended. I'm a really good swimmer. But, yeah, like the Air Force, like that dude, I guess he'd already met his quota or whatever, because he was not interested in trying to sell me on anything, really. Air Force and the Navy recruiters both did not give a single solitary shit. There was only one thing I wanted to do in the Air Force, and that was drone pilot. Like, oh yeah, well you gotta have a bachelor's degree and you gotta go to flight training. I was like, dude, I'm trying to join the military to get college money because I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I am not trying to go to college to join the military. That is ass backwards, sir. And you know it. But yeah, like, because I think like the year before, was it like 2005 or 2006, where they built a supercomputer out of PS3s for the Air Force?
Yeah.
Yep. There was, 200-something PS3s wired together?
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I grew up on PlayStation. This might be my branch of the military. What do you want to do? Drone pilot, man. Now, do you know how many hours? Do you know how many flight hours I've logged in Aces Combat? He wasn't having it though. So I was like, well, what else you got? He's like, you want to do aircraft maintenance? I'm like, fuck no, I don't.
But there are also the people that are driven on caffeine, nicotine, and spike.
Yeah, but they also work around jet fuel, and I'm a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really do both of those things.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. And I really didn't want to start dipping.
Don't want to have to deal with lippers?
No, I prefer to inhale my nicotine. I don't want to like. I don't want to get it through osmosis.
God damn it! I had to bite back something I was about to say.
Was it something like to the effect of what Terry said? You can do both, just not for long.
Oh no, my statement was, well, you could boof it.
Yeah. Never used the prison wallet. I ain't starting now. Like if I'm hard if I'm jonesing bad enough for some nicotine that I'm willing to shove it up my ass, I think that's the come to Jesus moment where I just go ahead and quit. I think that's my line in the sand, Sanguine. I think we found it. Yeah, but it'd be my luck, Rotten.
Okay.
It'd be my luck. I'd end up looking like Fire Marshal Bill.
Okay, this is going to sound kind of weird, but those mats, not only are they insanely useful, but they would make amazing wall decoration.
Let's see. Side mount bushing.
But yeah, like the Navy recruiter, I think he gave even less of a shit than the. Well, no, actually, I'll give the Air Force credit. They gave the least amount of shits when it came to recruiting. The Navy was a close second because he offered me 2 jobs.
What were they?
The first one, because my ASVAB, I think I scored like, is it 81 or an 82? Which, I mean, not super great, but I took the test in 15 minutes. So, the first one he offered me was working on a nuclear submarine.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my grandfathers was a Navy man. He was a boilerman during the Korean War.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I roughly the same build, about 6'1", 6'2", kind of a lanky frame. One of the few things I remember about that man, aside from him, smoking on his pipe,
Mm-hmm.
were the dents in his shins from the knee knockers.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, first of all, I'd like to see the sun more than once every 6 months. And I really don't want to give myself a concussion trying to take a shit. Because you gotta lift them knees and duck your head at the same time, and I'm not that coordinated.
Mm-hmm.
I can barely walk and chew bubble gum. But I was like, that's a hard no. Like, what else you got? He said, well, how about EOD? And as a 17-year-old civilian, I had no fucking clue what that meant. I was like, okay, well, what is that? He says, explosive ordnance disposal. I was like, okay, I know what explosives are. I know what disposal means. Can you, tell me in, layman's terms? He's like, oh, it's the Navy bomb squad. It was 2006. Everything in the news was blowing up everywhere. And I was like, nah, that ain't for me. I don't think I want to do that. Dude did not try to sell it at all. He's like, oh, you don't want to do that? Okay, fine. Anything else? But yeah, if he'd actually talked that shit up a bit, he could have had me. Probably would not have made the cut for EOD. Probably would have been needs of the Navy. But he would have had me for at least 4 years.
He would have just been, or he was just surprised that you didn't want to blow shit up.
Oh, I want to blow shit up. Yeah, I mean, I'm a red blood American. I don't want to get blown up. That's the difference. I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma. I have no problem, blowing some shit up with some tannerite or anything, It's I want to keep all of my fingers and toes and, my face, genitals.
Then get good in EOD.
But yeah, he did not try and sell that whatsoever, and it's a way cooler job than he made it sound. But
Oh, it's right there.
if I had it to do all over again, like I'd have joined the Marines because those guys didn't try to bullshit me not one bit.
Yep. Oh, they're proud about how shit everything is.
Oh well, not even that. It's just like because like I spent some time talking to like the Army recruiter, and I was just looking at maybe going like reserves, get some college money, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer, yada yada. But when that fell through, I was kind of walking out of the recruiting office, a little hangdog,
Mm-hmm.
and Marine dude, to his credit, he was actually in the office that day, and like, hey, I saw you talking to the Army guy. He was like, yeah, I was. I was like, so you joined the Army? I was like, nope. You ever thought about joining the Marines? I was like, yeah. Like I had a Marine recruiter hounding me. Last town I lived in, wasn't really feeling it. I was like, but you know what? I've talked to all these other guys. I'll give you a shot. Like, what's the Marines offering? Navy's offering this. Army's offering that. What are you guys offering? He's like, not a goddamn thing. I'm like, okay. He's like, well, in Marines, if you become a Marine, I'm not gonna tell you that oh, you've got a contract that we'll give you this or that. Like, if you want it, you'll have to fucking earn it. I was like, fair enough. I was like, that I can work with at least.
Yeah, my friend's brother, older brother, was a Marine, and he's like, you thought about the military? And I'm like, briefly. And he goes, you think you can make it as? I'm like, you think I can make it as a Marine? And he just started laughing. And I go, I'll take that as a yes.
But yeah, like I had one cousin that was in the Marines, one cousin that was in the Army. The one that was in the Army, he did a full 20, and he actually did retire as a warrant officer. I don't remember what grade.
Mm-hmm.
But yep, went in as a private in the infantry, and he retired out as a helicopter pilot.
Nice.
Yep. And he did a hitch as a recruiter. He actually knew the Army guy that I was talking to, and he told me that dude was a shitbag. I was like, well, glad I didn't sign on the dotted line with him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like what really sold me, like, when I was thinking about joining, was the cousin that was a Marine. He's like, well, heard you want to talk about the Marines. Like, well, I'm kind of trying to decide Army, Marines, when Navy's out of the question, Air Force is out of the question, Coast Guard didn't even fucking show up. I am salty about that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a very good swimmer. But he's like, well, let me ask you a question. Say you're in Iraq or Afghanistan or some other shithole. Somebody shoots at you. Do you want to be able to shoot back?
Join the Marines.
I was like, do you think I'm retarded? Yeah, I want to shoot back. They're like, yeah, well, then you're going to join the Marines, because if you join the Army, you'll have to get clearance to shoot back at people. I was like, you're fucking with me. Somebody shoots at me as a soldier. I have to call my boss and get permission? He's like, yep. I'm like, oh, fuck that guy. I'm definitely not joining the Army now. But the other cousin, the Army one, he explained to me what the Army recruiter was trying to sign me up for, and It sounded a lot different coming out of my cousin's mouth than it did the recruiter's mouth.
What was the cousin's explanation?
Well, the recruiter was trying to get me into civil affairs
Mm-hmm.
because at that time, civil affairs was only reservists. It hadn't gone active duty yet.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to talk it up. Like, hey, it's about to go active duty. So, like, if you decide that you want to go active, you can just, transition straight across from the reserves to active duty, still keep your, MOS.
Isn't that what Angry Cops does?
No, he's an MP, if I'm not mistaken.
I know that he was an MP, but I thought he went over to.
Oh no, I think he's a drill sergeant, is what it is.
He was. I think he was an MP. Then he went drill. Then he went over to something else.
I can't remember. The last I saw, like he was still doing drill.
Might still be drill. Okay.
But yeah, like the cousin, he's like, hey man, what's he trying to sign you up for? I was like, civil affairs. He's like, did he explain to you what that means? I was like, kind of. He's like, oh shit. He's like, all right, here's what civil affairs is. When the big army or the Marines go and blow the shit out of some third world village, you, as a civil affairs guy, come in after them with a clipboard, assess the damage, and negotiate with American contractors to rebuild it. I was like, so I'm an insurance adjuster. He's like, yeah, pretty much. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. You guys are going to piss all these people off. I'm going to show up, try and assess the damage, and then have to call my boss to get permission to shoot back at them when they rightfully try and shoot at me because you pissed them off in the first place. I was like, no, thank you. So, what you got there, Johnny?
Playing a gunsmith simulator.
No, I know that. I was asking what kind of rifle you got there, buddy.
It's a M1 Garand.
Ah,
Tricked out with a scope. And Frosted Glass has quoted you, my cousin's mouth was a lot different.
I'll have to run the tape back. I don't remember saying that.
You said, when it came out of my cousin's mouth, or what came out of my cousin's mouth was a lot different.
Ah. Well, see, he's not quoting me accurately then. Of course I didn't say that.
Let's try a shoulder fire here. And
Terry, this is the way that you could learn about guns, though.
Are you going to actually use the scope?
I am using the scope now, actually.
Okay.
And apparently still missing.
So it's just the scope.
Wait. So you were aiming at the one on the right a second ago. Does that mean you were shooting at the wrong target?
It doesn't matter which one.
Oh,
You
okay.
pretty much aim at whatever. But being that I
Oh,
am,
well, if Facebook fact checked it, it must be true, right, Frosted? Facebook wouldn't lie.
all right. It's got the 6 there. Oh, low on that one.
So are you going to re-zero it at all, or?
Well, it's because I'm aiming at the furthest target away.
Wait, what?
300 meters.
What range do you have the rifle zeroed to?
I don't have a clue.
25.
You're supposed to be a gunsmith and you don't know what you zeroed it to?
Unlike most gunsmiths, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Oh, safety. If I need a scope at 25, then
I didn't say you needed one. I said that's probably what you zeroed it at.
Now, Rotten Corpse will probably know what I'm talking about with Matt Barrera's last video where he was talking about Captain Gun Safety, who was they were shooting rifles at like 50. It was like 50 yards, or not 50 yards, 25 yards away.
You talking about Kensinger?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, they were shooting like metal targets, like what, 25 meters, something like that. If that,
I think it was like 25 yards away.
I'm not even sure if it was that far.
It was a short distance for.
Yeah, they looked really.
Somebody got clipped with a ricochet. I know that.
Yep.
One of the photographers.
I want to say maybe it was 15, 20 yards.
Yeah, it was like, it was close.
Yeah. It was close enough. Everyone in the room should have been going, is this a good idea?
As a guy that knows fuck all about firearms, I was sitting there like, that seems a little, I don't know, man.
That's a little
too close for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when photograph.
If I'm going to shoot it, oh, sorry.
Especially if photographer's taking a hit.
Yeah. If I'm going to be shooting at metal targets, I want it far enough away where it takes a second or two before I hear the ding. I don't want to hear like the gun go off and immediately like, oh shit, I'm hit.
Although I was thinking about it earlier, my wife did flag me.
Oh.
I took her to the driving range or the shooting range, and
So
yeah,
do
she
you
flagged
think
me.
it was an accident?
It was, but
Are you sure about that?
yes, because
Like,
At least with a couple air quotes.
we have discovered that she has discovered that you do not wear loose-fitting clothes. Wear
She
a
cut some brass.
Breasts down the bra?
breast down the shirt, and fortunately, it was the last bullet.
Mm-hmm.
But she immediately like bends over a little bit to like kind of fluff out the shirt, and then just brings the gun down and points it like straight at my gut. And you just see me go, no, 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 no. Like, fortunately, she also had trigger discipline and not didn't have her finger on the trigger.
Well, as long as she's keeping her booger hook off the bang switch.
Yeah, I think we will call that. So let's just boop.
And Terry says that he got over 50 likes on a tweet promoting misogyny.
As well as you should.
One of these days, I'm going to get one of those "No Ma'am" shirts from Married with Children.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, I'm going to put that on my Christmas list this year. That and like one of those like fluffy like shower robes, and some like the bear claw house slippers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be my my houseware attire.
Oh.
Well, Terry, all I have to say to that is be the change you want to see in the world, sir.
Did you see the video that Dax shared in the chat?
I saw it. I didn't watch it.
Okay, don't.
I
I
know fuck all about insurance. That's one of the only things that being an Indian has benefited me in. Is like I don't know anything about insurance. I don't need to. I know I'm gonna get shitty healthcare.
Yeah.
But at least I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, it quite possibly was. I started watching it and I'm just like, okay, you know, that a little hyperbolic, whatever. And then they're like, well, and then we have to schedule it around their schedule. It's like, no, that's not how that works. It's called coordination. You call them. They were talking essentially about prior authorizations and how if the prior authorization is denied, there's what's called a peer-to-peer review, which means the doctor calls the insurance company and they go over the information that was submitted with the authorization to see if it can be overturned without having the member appeal. And she's like, well, we have to go out of our way to schedule with on their schedule. And it's like, part of that is true, but it's not true. Like, you're coordinating two people together. There's not going to be, you know, I understand you're a busy person, but, you know, if you want to get a payment for this, you have to do it. Those are the rules that are set when you're a contracted provider. It's in your contract. And then they're like, well, we have these other patients to to care for. And it's like, well, hire another doctor. Maybe that'll help, lighten your load so that you can get your shit in order. And then there's another video where they were talking about it was a United Healthcare person who pulled someone from their surgery to talk about a authorization. And I'm not going to say that it is total bullshit, but I'm definitely pressing X to doubt. Because if you're going to call someone who's doing a cancer surgery, you're not getting in touch with that person. They're not going to be like, oh, well, you got to shut everything down and, go take this phone call. Like, no, you're not getting in touch with that doctor. And what's really funny, and in most of the authorizations that I've seen that have been denied, it's because the doctor didn't send any clinical information asking, assuring why it's medically necessary for them to have the procedure. Because what they're supposed to do, like say for example, for sanguine shoulder, like when you tore your shoulder up.
Yep.
Say you had, your insurance company, like per your group, for the type of shoulder surgery that would have been needed for reconstruction, like I'd say something like deteriorates and it ends up you needing surgery on it. And depending upon how they're going to code it, it'll need an authorization saying, this is what we're going to be needing to do. This is why it's medically necessary. And, we'll send that information in. You can't just be like, he needs it. There needs to be, your documentation needs to say, with this surgery, this is what we're expecting. And then you send everything relevant to the insurance company. The insurance company takes it and they're like, okay, we've gone over this stuff here. This looks like it's there. There you go. And then they approve it. But a majority of the ones they're doing, they're like, we don't even have the paperwork. They just have, this is what you're requesting. Can you give it to us? And it's like, no. Now, is it a perfect system? No. But it puts the insurance companies, and this is all from the Affordable Care Act. That's where these medical policies are based around. And they're like, and everyone's so high strung on, oh, it's the insurance companies. Oh, it's the insurance companies. Oh, it's like, no, like there are no clean hands in the insurance business. The providers definitely don't have clean hands. Because I've seen the charged amounts for, like, anesthesiologists, for example. In your history, Sanguine, how much would you say I'd say in an average, how much would you say anesthesia would cost for any given? Granted, you're a weird case on this one.
Depends on what type of anesthesia. So for me, I have to be given the cheapest, which is gas.
Yeah.
And then I have to be given a massive dose of morphine. For the more expensive, which tends to be used in far lower doses, a lot of that shit doesn't work on me. So nerve blocks, those get fairly expensive, but they're a lot nicer for most people. Because you get a nerve block and you forget that you have a limb.
Yeah.
They're so fucking good.
Well, based on, I would say a good average for a charged amount for for anesthesia would be around $2,500 to $3,000, and that's just what the providers charge.
Yep.
Now, with them being contracted, with a network, they have,
So
this
with nerve blocks, they typically are charged like 4,000 something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but
it's much more significantly higher.
If they were charging about cost, you'd be looking at a couple hundred.
Yeah. Well, with contracting, they'll look at the average cost of what something actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like, okay, you can say you can charge this much, but you are going to only be able to charge this guy this much.
Yep.
And so if you look at your explanation of benefits, you'll see what's ineligible and eligible amounts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to see that difference. But there is an anesthesiologist out of New Mexico for the same kind of services for anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
$16,500 this guy charges.
God damn.
Because he knows it's getting written off if it's at a network. But if he just happens to have one of those things, it's just not. It's called balance billing, where they'll even though your benefits say you're going to get like $150 to your deductible or whatever, they can still bill because they're not contracted. So that screws the member out of $15,400.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like if you're going to blame the insurance company for that, you kind of need to look at the guy who's got the knife in your back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that just drives me nuts. And yeah, that's a mess. But yeah, I'm not going to say that there's, clean businesses out there that are doing this stuff, but it's definitely not, it's not a one-side thing.
Yeah, the thing is that the way that we currently have everything written up and the incentive structures are fucked.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the shit that causes medicine to be as expensive as it is shit that we could change, but we don't really want to. A good example of this that I've brought up before is in the US, we tend to select the more expensive care options constantly. Now, what do I mean by the more expensive care options? What I mean by that is if you have the choice of a solo room versus a duo, versus a triple versus a quad versus a ward, almost every person in the US picks a solo. Solos cost more. So that's something that's always going to be a cost factor that most of the US will continue to pay. Because a solo room is nicer. You have privacy. You have shit like that that a duo doesn't offer you. You don't have to worry about someone else moaning and groaning, waking you up. But there's some factors that we don't really want to change at all because they're good, like those. There's some that we should change, like the litigiousness of the US and how there's very little legal protection when it comes to that. So you end up with you having to pay for all the fucking insurancing that everyone needs. So it's when you go into appointment, you aren't just paying for the facility insurance. You aren't just paying for the doc insurance. You're paying for the facility, the doctor, the nurses, the pharmacy. Every level has insurance out the ass.
Mm-hmm.
That drives up costs because you're paying for all that insurance because everyone is worried about, well, what happens when we get sued? And we do sue doctors out the ass. It's ridiculous. We're insanely litigious. Considering we've had people that have sued for outcomes that are better than they expected. And they sued because, well, they thought they were going to die. Turns out they didn't.
Speaking of, there was a story here that dropped just recently. There was a huge thing about his name is Dr. Weiner up here, and I don't know if you guys have heard this but like Montana, it's a huge thing. Like there are people from Podunk, Montana that are like, oh yeah, I'm like, I don't want to even be seen by that guy. But he was previously accused of over medicating. And from my understanding, because I didn't read too much into the story, I haven't had the time. But I know that he had been accused of over prescribing medications.
Yep.
And there were a few people who were like, I need that medication. Like, it's not whatever. And then more recently, what had come out is that there is one of his patients that had been diagnosed as having cancer, and he was put through cancer treatment. Well, come to find out that where he was told that he had the cancer, it was benign.
Ouch.
So he had like 10 years of cancer treatment for a cancer he didn't even have. And it's like, yeah, you can't really defend that. Like, that's bad.
Yeah.
If you give me a decade's worth of chemo when I don't fucking need it, I feel like I should be able to take pieces off of you. Not big pieces, but like, you know,
Couple fingernails at least.
I mean, like, I think I should get at least a thumb and maybe like the pinky toes. You know, something that's gonna like, it's gonna fuck you up a little bit, but you know, like, not. You know, just. I'll have to think more about like what the proper consequences should be for that, because like,
Yeah, I think I'll next week I'll pull that story up and see what it. I want to go through that because
Mhm.
yeah, that's messed up if that's true.
Yeah, there's shit that doctors should be sued for. There's shit that doctors shouldn't be sued for. And the problem is that we allow a lot of shit they should be sued for them not to be sued for. A lot of shit that they shouldn't be sued for them to be sued for.
Well, and it also sounds like, and like I said, it's just based off of stories that I've either heard or read like chunks of. It sounds like that his staff was submitting claims for services that you know weren't even done, and of course
Yep, that happens
he
a
was
lot.
getting the blame for it. And I'm like, well, if they're investigating it and they see that he's like, I've never did that, like why you know but then again, he's the guy in charge, so he's supposed to know
Yep.
what's going on. So it's like you want to give a guy the benefit of the doubt, but it's just like, yeah, you're the guy in charge though, so you might want to keep an eye on shit over there.
Yeah. Are you being negligent to the point of incompetence? But yeah, there's, like I said, a bunch of reasons why medicine is as expensive as it is in the US.
Yeah.
Some of them are reasons that we should fix, some of them are reasons that we actually like. So, one of the reasons why US medicine is as expensive as it is because for over the past 20 some years, we've been responsible for, I want to say it's 51% of all novel medicines. That's shit that we want to keep going because that means that we're pushing forward medicine and we're improving everyone's medicine globally. We want that. It costs money, and it would be nice if other countries got off their ass and started paying more because then we would speed up research, but we shouldn't decrease the amount that we spend towards research. But then there's the litigiousness. And we have a lot of people get sued for shit that they shouldn't be sued for. And we have a lot of people that aren't sued for shit that they should be sued for. We should go back in, we should rework that, make it so that there's reasonable limits on where you can sue, and make sure that shit that should be sued for is outside of those reasonable, or is outside the limits where you can't sue, and shit that it's, yeah, this is just a complete bit of happenstance, isn't something that you can sue for. Because if you're one of the people that pops anytime that your skin is broken, I'm not sure if you know this, but anytime that your skin's broken, there's a chance that you'll pop a clot. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
So if you pop a clot and it can't be proven to be caused by some bit of negligence, but if you just pop a clot and then the facility treats that clot appropriately after you pop a clot, that shouldn't be something that then you can sue or sue the facility for because, well, you were given an IV drip and then you popped a clot because that's random fucking luck. But if it wasn't properly treated, sure, sue for that. If it was something that facility actually did, like you had coagulation problems in the past and they gave you a medicine that increases the chance of coagulation, sure, that's a fuck up on their part. If it's just random fucking luck, you shouldn't be able to sue over it.
Well, and then like I was talking with Terry uh, on Twitter, I asked, there's that show, All Saints. My wife's been watching it. It's on Hulu. And it's an Australian ER slash Grey's Anatomy slash weirdness. Like, it's a soap opera.
Random.
I'm calling it a soap opera. Rock doesn't think it's a soap opera, but whatever. It's a medical drama. But there was an episode that she was watching, and they noticed that this guy's blood pressure, like as they were giving him a transfusion, they noticed his blood pressure was dropping.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and the surgeon's like, I need to find the nick. So they nicked him somewhere. We got to find it.
Yep.
And like they're digging through his guts, trying to find where, he's bleeding. And one of the doctors notices that he has been given B blood when he's an A.
Yeah, that's incompetence. That's something that should be suable.
Yeah.
But, like I said, if it's you end up popping a random clot just due to bad toss of the dice, and not due to anything that they did, it's just you needed an IV, and anytime that your skin's broken, anytime that you get an IV, there's a chance that you're going to toss a clot. And this was your chance that you tossed a clot. That shouldn't be suable. Because that's just bad fucking luck. If you're given the wrong blood, absolutely. If you're given the wrong med, sure. If you suffer a side effect from a med, that shouldn't be something suable. Whereas currently, the way that U.S. law is written, you can. Shit, like I said, there have been cases where people have sued for having too good of an outcome.
Too good of an outcome?
Yeah.
And they sued for that?
Yeah. Because they were given a negative prognosis, let's say. So they were told that they had a terminal disease. But there were things that they could do that might be able to extend their life. And turns out that those things not just extended their life, but actually successfully treated whatever the fuck they were told. But they had sold off a shit ton of stuff in the interim because they thought they were going to die, and they sued over it.
It's a complicated mess, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a shit show when it happens. It shouldn't be something that is possible. A doctor shouldn't have to worry about, well, if this works out too well, if I told a patient that they might be paralyzed for the rest of their life, and they aren't, so the shit that they bought in order to handle being paralyzed, they now don't need, but it was beyond the window of return. So now they're suing me because they bought these bits of medical equipment that they don't actually fucking need.
yeah.
Or I thought they were terminal, they thought they were terminal, and they sold off shit, but turns out that with the treatment, they were able to beat the cancer. They were able to beat this disease.
Yeah.
And because they thought they were terminal, they sold their house. And now they're suing me because they sold their house. That's fucked up shit that shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
But it's shit that has happened. People have been sued over that type of bullshit.
All right, well, we are getting to the 2 hour mark, 10 minutes away.
Yep.
and we're starting to. Camel's starting to fade. I'm starting to. We'll go behind him, but Camel, have you seen the pictures in the thing too?
Pictures in the thing.
In the chat between the four of us.
1 second.
I'll have one post up here.
Who's
We're
the
gonna
fourth?
end this on a high note.
Oh yeah.
Who's the fourth?
It's our good friend Adam Beach. I was playing around with Grok, and
Nice.
I got a nice picture.
I mean, do you think celebrities like ever do like Google themselves and whatnot? Do you think they're gonna see all these AI images like is that a beach just sitting in Canada right now? Like, why the fuck did somebody make a picture of me with a cat and a camel?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, well at least it's not the weirdest thing I've seen. Like,
That just reminded me of the AI image of Asmongold kissing Hatsune Miku.
I have not seen that, and I don't think I want to.
Don't know what any of that
weird.
means, and I feel like ignorance is bliss.
You don't know who Asmongold is?
I've heard the name before, but I don't know why this person is notable.
He is a streamer, talks about a bunch of different things. Kind of looks like
He's like a homeless
Jesus if
Hassan.
Jesus was on meth.
Yeah, see, when you tell me that this person's a streamer, that doesn't really impress me. Technically, we're streamers
Yeah,
that talk about things.
I
It's
wasn't
not that
saying
high of a fucking bar.
I wasn't saying that it was particularly impressive, but he's a very popular one because he is personable. And
He's a homeless Hassan.
He kind of looks. Well, no, he isn't Hassan
Only-
because
Sure, Hassan is a homeless Hassan now.
Hassan's just fucking insane.
Well,
Asmongold
and a
at
comic.
least has
standards.
fairly decent standards for the most part, other than his own
He's nice
hygiene.
He's nice to his roaches.
Yes, he's nice to people around him. He's nice to his roaches. He just has god awful hygiene, like his blood wall. But he looks like a methed out Jesus. And then Hatsune Miku is a V-roid.
It's the first VTuber,
Yep.
but it's a yeah, we're starting to trail. So, all right, it will be not you tomorrow.
It
Possibly?
might be me. It might be Adam. I need to quickly see if the shit that came up that was preventing me from running tomorrow just got shifted, because it might be that it prevents me from doing next week, but I'm good to go tomorrow.
All right. But with that, the zoo is closed. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, all.
Bye, everybody.